All right. In Acts 2, verse 23, him being delivered by the determinate counsel and foreknowledge of Yahweh, you have taken, and by wicked hands have staked and slain. Acts 4:27. For a truth against the holy child Yeshua, whom thou hast anointed, both Herod, Pontius Pilate, with the Gentiles, and the people of Israel were gathered together, for to do whatsoever thy hand and thy counsel determined before to be done. The Passion of Christ movie has been out for some time. It has created quite a stir. Most of the reviews that I have read by those who have seen this movie have been positive. Having not seen the movie myself, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the movie itself. However, a storm of controversy has surrounded it, its production, and its release. A question has been raised, which has been raised before. The question spurred by many left-wing media outlets is, who killed Jesus? Many Jews fear anti-Semitic sentiment. This seems to me to be a tactic devised by Satan, whom would divert men from any good that might possibly come from this movie. I believe that the wrong question is being asked. I believe that the right question, which needs to be answered and dealt with by us all, is why Yeshua died. You see, there is a story that goes beyond the Passion of Christ. The reason why Yeshua died is a more appropriate question because of the words of Yeshua himself in John chapter 10, verse 15. As the Father knows me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And the other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring. And they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Therefore does my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it again. No man takes it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father. No man had the power to take the life of the Son of Yahweh. Yeshua laid down his life. He surrendered it. The question then is, why? I want us to look at some answers to that question from his word, the word of Yahweh. He died because it was determined by the will of Yahweh. The death of Yeshua was not the result of some sinister plot, but the result of a sovereign plan. Yahweh determined that Yeshua would die. This determination was based upon his foreknowledge. He knew what sinful man would do. He knew that he would be shunned and rejected. He knew that he would be hated by the religious leaders of that day. He knew that they would plot to seize him. He knew that Judas would betray the Son of Yahweh for 30 pieces of silver and seal that betrayal with a kiss. He knew that Pontius Pilate would utter the words, "I find no fault in him," and have him beaten with a cat o' nine tails in an attempt to appease the bloodthirsty crowd. Yahweh knew that the mob would yell for the release of Barabbas rather than Yeshua. He knew in advance that the crowds would scream, "Impale him. We have the king, no king but Caesar." He knew that the stake would be the means of his death. He knew that the Roman soldiers would nail his hands and feet to the stake. Yahweh knew all of this in advance, and yet he determined in his will that he would send Messiah. The death of Yeshua was determined by the will of Yahweh. When was this plan incorporated by Yahweh? 1 Peter 1 verse 19. But with the precious blood of Messiah, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who truly was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifested in these last times for you. I've heard that for many years, Mel Gibson had been wanting to make a movie about the Passion of Christ, yet Yahweh planned the Passion before the foundations of the world was ever laid. He died because he was delivered by the will of Yahweh. In Romans 8, verse 32, he that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also be freely given us all things? Who delivered Yeshua up to die? Yahweh the Father did. But wasn't Judas who betrayed him? And wasn't it the Jewish leaders who pressured the Roman leaders into